Has your trust ever been broken? And do you know how to build trust with new people? That is what today's episode of Jungu Josh is all about. Welcome back to the Jungu Josh episode, where we delve into the story of Josh and other writing and music projects as well. I'm Konsan van Graan, the creator of the Jungu Josh series. What is Jungu Josh all about? It's about the 13-year-old Josh who lives with his mother in London, and now he finds himself in a daunting situation in a mysterious valley in East Africa called Kalambula, with an evil professor hot on his heels. But with the help of a couple of people, that's Njeri, the warrior girl, Ngandu, the wise man, and Charlie, the art wolf, he might escape this threat and also fend off other evil forces. Today's episode is about trust. Now, we all know this word, but do we know how to initiate it, create it in certain circumstances? And I link it specifically with Jungu Josh because Josh has a lot of interesting character traits and a lot of weaknesses as well. Let's be honest. He's got some anxiety issues. He's afraid of heights. He hates bats. But he's also very courageous. But he's also able to create trust. And how do we know this? It's in the central scenes of the books. There are a couple of examples. We see it when he interacts with Njeri, who is very skeptical, actually very angry, because of her past. She was banished from her village. Now, if you want to know more about that, go and read about it. But what is clear is Josh is able to disarm her and become best friends. Another example is Mashiba the witch, who has her own story and her own vendetta when it comes to the valley and its people. Actually, a very sad story. And so Josh is also able to gain her trust because he needs information from her to go on with his journey. More examples include Akunu the blacksmith, who's a very cynical character, but has information with him which is of great importance to Josh, and Josh is able to nurture that relationship to get that information. And for those of you who have read the books will also have seen that Josh is able to build trust with the Maganians, which is fairly easy because they're a very friendly tribe, but also the Uchubians, the more secretive, reserved tribe. What is trust? We have some idea, but the definition is it's the belief in the reliability of a person or a group. And in personal relationships, it's the confidence a person has that another person will act with care, honesty, and loyalty. Now, to be able to initiate trust in any relationship is actually a very noble act. Why? Because it creates cohesion in a relationship. It creates that calmness that you need to build on a relationship. But also, it helps us to maneuver difficult situations, conflicts, problem solving. That's where trust comes in. And then last but not least, it's a valuable tool to get information from other people. And that's what I want to focus on today. Now, why would you want to obtain information from people? Well, there are many examples, but just think of this extreme setting. You are in a foreign country. You find yourself in a one-horse town. It's bitterly cold, -degrees, and there's a snowstorm on its way. There's only one person walking in the streets, a local, and you know this person is the only chance to you having a warm room tonight. This person is the key for you to shelter from the storm. And that interaction with this stranger is very important. Because if you are able to build trust, to build rapport, then the chances are good he will show you to the nearest motel or offer you a room in his house. So a lot of times building trust can actually be a life and death situation. Now, how do I know this? Yes, I love writing stories and making music in my spare time. But by day, I'm actually an academic and a researcher, and I focus on interpersonal relationships and how to build trust, specifically in an investigative setting where the investigators have to investigate how money has been stolen or fraud has occurred. So everything to do with the commercial side of crime. I help train students to do those investigations, but I focus on the human behavioral aspects. Why do people commit crime? But also, when the investigators interact with witnesses and suspects, how do they build that trust to get information? And there are some valuable tools from my research that I want to share with you. Now, there are three relational qualities, elements that we use to initiate trust, and they are empathy, congruence, and unconditional positive regard. Empathy, we've heard of the word, we think we know what it is, but let's delve a bit deeper. It's when you try to understand what a person is experiencing practically, but also emotionally, and when you show that other person that you are trying to understand. So it includes active listening, when you use your verbal and non-verbal messages to show that you understand. For example, you have a coffee date with one of your best friends and they are distraught, they are crying. You ask what happened? They just drove over their dog. Terrible situation. How would you show empathy? You would make sure that you try to understand. You can put yourself in somebody's shoes who's just lost their beloved dog. So you would respond with something like, "This is devastating. I can't even imagine how you must feel right now." Now look at my non-verbal cues as well. Verbally, yes, I show my support and my understanding. But you see what I'm doing? I'm frowning. I'm using my brows and my forehead to show the concern. And I gave a subtle shake of the head, showing my concern but also my disgust at this terrible situation. The next element, congruence, is when your verbal and non-verbal signs talk to each other. They align. Let's use that same example of the dog that just died. If I verbally say the same words, you are devastated by what just happened and I can't even imagine how you must be feeling. But what if I say it while smiling? I can't believe how you must be feeling at this stage. Oh, you poor thing. I can't even imagine. Are we going to eat something now? Now that's an extreme response to such devastating news. But what I wanted to show and illustrate to you is that the verbal and non-verbal signs did not align. So the words were the same, but I was smiling and giggling, showing that not only do I not find this important, I actually find it funny. So that's the quickest way of losing somebody's trust, is if those verbal and non-verbal messages don't align. And the last element, unconditional positive regard, UPR for short. UPR is when there is total acceptance of the other person and you don't judge them. And I think this is the one we struggle with the most. We are so judgmental when we interact with people and we don't even realize it a lot of the times. Let's use an example of somebody close to you sharing with you a story where they did something terrible. Let's use the example of what we see a lot in investigations. Somebody who stole money literally to send their child to school. A normal response would probably be something like this: "I can't believe you did it. I mean, we're all struggling financially. You don't see me going around stealing other people's money." That is a clear case of somebody not showing UPR. A UPR response would be something like, "You were in a desperate situation. You felt cornered and it felt like this would be the only way to get out of the situation." Now, I'm not condoning the action with that response, but I'm not condemning it as well. It's not your place to condemn either way. It's your place to listen and try to understand. It's not your responsibility to condemn. It's your responsibility to listen and try to understand. Now, those of you who have read the books would see in a lot of instances where Josh uses these three elements to initiate trust. And if you haven't read it yet, do yourself a favor. Now, yes, we use this in our investigative settings every day, but you can also use it in your personal life. Use these three elements to obtain the trust of somebody who's perhaps not trusting you at this moment or in a certain situation. I promise you will reap the fruits. It's also a valuable tool to identify those so-called friends of yours who are not listening and who actually don't care. You know what I'm talking about. The times when you share stories of utter disappointment and they're just not showing enough empathy in those instances. Or even worse, situations where you want to tell them of this great thing that has happened to you and they're just not happy enough. It'll help you to filter out those true friends from the rest. Now, the great thing is there are 13 additional relational qualities which will help you to build trust in your everyday life. So go and follow Jungu Josh on Facebook and Instagram, send me a message, and I'll share those 13 relational qualities with you. I'll also share the handle of the Jungu Josh pages below. So go and use these relational qualities. I promise you it's going to enrich your life. That's that for this episode. Join us again on The Weakest Link. That's that for this episode. It was so great to have this coffee break with you. I hope to see you soon for more episodes on Jungu Josh and other projects.